Wideck here, welcoming you to another Starcraft 2 replay, this time on Shir Vestige. And spawning in the top left as the red Protoss, we've got Socke. I might be pronouncing his name wrong, but I'll just call him Socke from now on. I'm going to assume the E is silent. And in the bottom right, spawning as the blue Terran, we've got Dayshi. And both of these players are very well known on the European server. Very good players. And Dayshi's going to do something a little bit unconventional. He's going to be putting his supply depot actually behind his mineral line. Generally, Terrans like to put the supply depot at the ramp to begin the fortification and block off for future attacks. But he's just going to put the supply depot behind the mineral line. And something else unconventional by Dayshi again. He's putting the barracks very close to his command center and gives it just enough space to start building a reactor or a tech lab next to it without lifting it off. But he's not using it to block off the ramp, so we'll have to see if this plays a role in this match. If there is an early in-game attack by Socke, it might be the difference between defeat and victory for Dayshi. He is getting a refinery up as well. Socke is going for his own assimilator, and he's just put down his own second pylon. Meanwhile, his first probe is actually going to be able to scout Dayshi and exactly what is up in Dayshi's map. And that's one of the reasons you might want to put the buildings right at the ramp so you're able to block it off. And then probes are not able to come in and get a scout, because the probe's been able to see basically everything that's going on in Dayshi's base. He's been able to scout out the refinery. He can see that there's 3 SCVs on it as well. So Socke knows exactly what's going on in Dayshi's end of town. And you can never underestimate early scouting information. Even though you might say, oh, it doesn't really matter. For pro players, they understand timings, they understand build orders, and so a little bit more information can really swing in your favor if you know about it. The factory is going down for Dayshi, and I'm sure Socke is expecting something like that. He didn't see Reapers coming out of the barracks, so he's probably expecting an early factory. At the same time, Dayshi was able to put down an engineering bay to postpone the Nexus expansion. And finally, Socke's going to be able to warp in that Nexus as his mothership core is coming out of his Nexus. And at the same time, Dayshi is now going to get the reactor attached to the factory, going to be building 2 Hellions while he's starting his command center. So Dayshi is going to be behind economically. Socke does have that Nexus in the location, and it's been building for actually about the same amount of time. So maybe not a huge economic advantage. And I like the fact that Dayshi did blow up those plates down on the ramp on the low ground, because pro players, I've seen it before where they don't destroy the plates and then they accidentally attack them later on when there's an engagement near their main. And so they do lose a lot of DPS. So by getting rid of them early, you can't misclick it later. And the mothership core is going to make it Dayshi's base, able to scout out a little bit. But the 2 Hellions are going to go rush up the ramp unopposed. And now the probes are going to be under attack. 1 probe is down. Let's see how many more. 5 probes in total have been destroyed, and Dayshi's not marking these Hellions very well. And finally, the last one's going to go down, but before he goes down in a blaze of glory, he's going to roast up another probe. So 6 probes have been lost. At the same time, Socke's mothership core only escapes away with 3 life, and that's really dangerous. So not a great trade for Socke as he loses 6 probes to Dayshi's 2 SCVs, and Dayshi's actually going for an early third immediately. And the Oracle is now going to be zooming across the map, going to be trying to do some damage to this mining line. And with only 5 Marines, generally you want 5 or 6 Marines, so this is pretty borderline to defend one Oracle. The Oracles just get rid of Marines so quickly. There are also mines here, but there's one in the mineral line and there's one to the north, so we'll have to see. The Oracle has to be very careful. He runs into the range of the mine, and the mine goes off immediately. So great positioning by Dayshi, and that Oracle is immediately blown to smithereens. Socke's second Oracle is out now, but losing that first Oracle was a huge blow to Socke because they do cost a lot of resources. And if you don't kill a substantial amount of harvesters, it's virtually a huge money pit because you have to think about it. You have to invest in the Stargate, and you have to invest in the Oracle. And now there's a second Oracle out already, and I'm not sure what he's going to do. He's going to have to do some SCV damage, otherwise it's a complete loss. Socke is also getting out his third, so both players are revving up for a longer game. Neither player is really pushing the offense, other than that slight probe and SCV harass from the Mothership Core and the Hellions. And Dayshi's getting double armory. This is very, very different. Generally, players like to go bio because of their mobility, but Dayshi looks like he's going to be going for mech. He doesn't have a tech lab on the factory, so he's going to be building mass Hellions, so very interesting. At the same time, 4 Hellions in the middle map are going to be able to chase this one Stalker back into Socke's base. He has to be careful here. That Stalker's going to go down. And the force field, the 2 force fields miss the Hellions, so horrible placement of force fields by Socke. And now Socke has lost a Stalker for basically nothing. Hellions are able to immediately scout out the third as well, so Socke is going to pull out his army over to protect that location. And unfortunately for Socke, with only 1 forge, he's going to be behind in upgrades as well. He has a robotics facility. He is warping in Immortals. A very strange choice considering he hasn't seen any Marauders or heavily armored mech units. And now the Hellions are just going to do a lot of streams of damage to these probes. The probes are actually just standing there, and they're all picked off. So the 6 probes that were lost initially, now the number jumps up to 15. So the units lost definitely favor Dayshi. Socke has lost a lot of probes and therefore economic power. Even though he got his third up in position before Dayshi could, losing that many probes distinctly gives a favor over to Dayshi. And now with all these Hellions again in the middle of the map, this Stalker is going to be picked off. And though Hellions are horrible against Stalkers, sort of like how Vultures were horrible against Dragoons, when you have this many, they can destroy anything. And now 2-2 is being upgraded, and Dayshi is just attaching a whole bunch of reactors to this factory. He's just going to go straight Hellions. I've never seen this tactic before. It's 100% Hellion attack. And look at this. Able to do significant damage to the Zealots. The Sentries are also light armor, and now the Marines are streaming in to deal with any of the air units. And this Immortal is virtually useless against the Hellions and Marines. Socke has to be very diligent here. The Nexus Cannon goes down, so it's going to be able to scare away a lot of these units. The Nexus Cannon has been able to kill 2 units. And the liftoff of the other Hellion is going to assist that in being destroyed. But Dayshi is still running around here with the Hellions and Marines doing significant damage. And he's built a 20 supply lead. This Oracle is going to try and get in some of the action, able to pick off 4 Marines. And these Hellions are still streaming in here, so I think Socke is realizing that it's just going to be 100% Hellions and nothing else. And Dayshi is now going to retreat. He's still not producing anything different. He just got Hellions with good upgrades, but there are Tempests on the way, and obviously, I don't care how many Hellions you have, if you can't hit air. And with the Oracle, the 2 Phoenixes, and the Tempest, this is a very strange build by Dayshi, and I'm not sure if it's going to pay off. Because with no anti-air, you need some Vikings or something to deal with the long range of the Tempest. These Hellions will be destroyed easily. The mine is going to be able to plant itself, but doesn't get a hit. And I've never seen this many Hellions. There's 30 Hellions in this composition, and they're just going to wreck everything. As another Immortal is going to come in here, but I don't think that's a wise choice. It's destroyed immediately. And there's no anti-air to deal with this Oracle. It already has 14 kills. But Dayshi doesn't seem to care. He's just building Hellions and only Hellions. And he's still just building Hellions. 2-2 upgrades are almost finished. And he has a 40 supply lead. But I think that's a little bit deceiving as it's only in Hellions. And Hellions are very inexpensive for 2 supply. Socke is getting his 4th up, and Socke is probably thinking, what the hell is going on here? I won't be defeated by so many Hellions, will I? But you also have to think, the Hellions have a lot of splash damage, and all the cannons and stalkers are taken down. Tempest fire very slowly. They'll eventually be able to take care of this, but the Hellions are actually focusing down on the probes and the Nexus, and there's just so many of them. Socke's not able to adequately deal with this problem, and now the Hellions are just going to run away and go to the 3rd, and the Tempests are slowly trailing behind with the Mothership Core. And here's a warp in of Stalkers and Zealots to try and deal with this very annoying, completely Hellion-based army, but the streams of fire are so intense. Look at all that fire. I've never seen this before. Maybe it's time to get to get blue flame as well. I'd like to see some blue fireworks. And now the Hellions are going to run as he's been able to destroy 50 workers at this point, an additional 34 in the last 5 minutes or so. The Tempests are now going to town on all the Hellions. The Hellions have lost a lot of their partners, and with the force field down, the Hellions are not going to be able to harass the main. And 3-3 is being upgraded for Dayshi. So Dayshi can transfer out of Hellions if he wants to. He has 1 tech lab now on the factory, and he now is getting a starport with a reactor because he understands he can't deal with the Tempest. The Tempests are eventually going to be able to destroy everything. Many of them have 9 kills, 7, 3, 6, 4 kills. And we've got a lot of Tempests heading over to the Terran base. But they do have to be careful here as there are mines. There is Envision going off by the Oracle, but the Oracle does not have enough energy, and so it looks like Socke might need some observers. He hasn't built any as of yet to deal with those mines. He does have 1 observer. Scan goes down, able to see all the Tempest. Doesn't see the observer. Oh, it does. I didn't actually notice it. It's in this main group. And now Daishi's 3rd is under attack. At the same time, Daishi's going to be sending his Hellions back in for some mass harass at Socke's 3rd. He doesn't know that there is actually a 4th Nexus constructor. Actually, now it's his 3rd because Nexus lost his natural. And there is a recall back into the base to destroy all those harassing Hellions. And Daishi's just building mines, Vikings, and Hellions. And now he's just building mass mines. This is one of the most interesting games I've ever seen. Where one player just goes mass non-tech lab factory units. This is one of the most entertaining games. And with the Vikings can go toe-to-toe with Tempest. So it'll be interesting to see how Socke's going to be able to deal with this. He has not rebuilt his natural. And Dayshi has not scouted out his new 3rd base as of yet. And the Tempests are now going to try and withdraw because look, with all those mines, you have to be very careful here. There's lots of splash damage. The Mothership Core goes down immediately as well as 1 Tempest. The Tempests are not able to run away from the mines. The mines are just going to go right below and fire down on these Tempests, doing significant damage plus splash. And the cannons are here, so they'll be able to detect it immediately. But they're still going to lose a lot of Tempests in the meanwhile. Resources lost are very close. And with 3-3 completed for Dayshi, he definitely has the upgrade advantage. And he's going to actually hallucinate a Colossi into here, but the scan's able to detect it immediately that it is a phony, an illusion. The Vikings are still firing down on it, though. And the Vikings are easily destroyed, but the Tempest, once again, all the mines are below the Tempest. The Tempests are going to have to try and scoot out of there, but I'm not sure if they're going to be able to. These mines burrow again. And one Tempest goes down. Another one. And finally, the Tempests are at a location where the mines are not in range. And finally, Socke's going to warp in some more gateway units. It's been a long time. It's been about 10 minutes since I've seen any gateway units. And the third base of Dayshi is almost mined out. He's got his fourth up and running. He's got so many mules, so his income is just skyrocketing compared to his opponent. He has one more base than Socke. And finally, we're going to see some carriers enter the battlefield, as the Tempests were not working out. So we got a strong composition of carriers, Tempests, and Stalkers. But they still have to run away because there's so many mines, and without splash damage, there's no real adequate way to deal with it. The force fields go down, able to block off the mines. They're still able to get off a few good connections on the Tempest. And more force fields are going to try to block the right side of this ravine, but it's not doing a very good job, as now the mines are right below, parked underneath the carriers. The carriers are taking significant damage, and this carrier is going to go bye-bye. There's still 2 carriers left for Socke, and Dayshi's done everything he can with all these mines and Hellions. Socke probably can't believe what is happening right now. How he was able to lose so much to just a whole bunch of basic factory units. And once again, the 2 carriers are going to rush in here, but with all those mines, able to destroy that Stalker very easily, able to take off another Zealot, but now these Stalkers are going to have to retreat. Units lost show Dayshi is slightly in the lead. And now the carriers are going to be engaged. The mines will be able to catch up to them. But will they be able to fire down and destroy them? No, the mines are not able to do their job. And now with the Thor in play, the Thor can actually attack the carriers without burrowing. And this is interesting. I've never seen mines fire down on interceptors from carriers. So there's a first time for everything, and this is the first time for me. The Stalkers are microing, trying to deal with these Vikings. Dayshi says, is this really just happening? I can't believe that this game is actually occurring. So I have to agree with Dayshi, even though I don't know why he's asking, because he's the one who's doing it. He's maxed out at 200. He's got about a 2-to-1 supply lead compared to his opponent. His opponent has a large contingent of carriers. He's got 6. But there are 8 Vikings in this composition from Dayshi. And now the mines are just going to rush in there and burrow right underneath all these carriers. Going to be a lot of splash damage. Not able to destroy any of the carriers. Actually, the Viking was able to take it down. And now Socke's on total retreat mode. And Socke, I think this might be the curtain call for you. Warping in more Stalkers to try and prevent the loss of his carriers to the Vikings. But the Vikings just have too much superior firepower in range. And that mine hit was able to destroy the last Tempest and carrier. And Socke's going to have to GG out of this. But that was a very entertaining, yet unbelievable, and almost foolish game in a lot of ways. I can't believe what occurred. I've never seen anyone just build a whole bunch of mines and a whole bunch of Hellions. I'd like to see this more. I don't know. Is this a viable strategy? Probably not, because nobody's doing it. But I don't think your opponent is going to assume you're just going to have 5 factories with reactors just pumping out Hellions. So Great game by Socke and Dayshi. And I really have to thank Dayshi. This is really entertaining. And I'll catch you guys next time.